The studio lights blazed down on the set of The View, where the audience buzzed with anticipation for the day's guest, action star Jason Statham, known for his tough guy roles in films like The Transporter and Fast Furious. Joy Behar, the sharp-tongued co-host with her signature wit and no-nonsense attitude, sat poised at the panel, ready to dive into the interview. As Statham strode onto the stage, his muscular frame clad in a sleek black suit, the crowd erupted in cheers, but Joy's eyes narrowed slightly, perhaps sensing a clash of personalities. Whoopi Goldberg introduced him with her usual charm, but it was Joy who jumped in first, asking about his latest movie, Crank, High Voltage, probing into the over-the-top action sequences that defined his career. Statham responded with his gravelly British accent, explaining the grueling stunts he performed himself, emphasizing his dedication to authenticity in an industry full of CGI cheats. Joy, never one to hold back, quipped that his films were all brawn and no brain, comparing them to mindless popcorn flicks that glorified violence without substance. The audience laughed nervously, but Statham's jaw tightened, his piercing blue eyes locking onto hers as he defended his work, saying it was about escapism and adrenaline, not pretentious art house drivel. Joy fired back, accusing him of perpetuating toxic masculinity, citing scenes where women were mere damsels or eye candy, which sparked a heated exchange that had the other co-hosts, like Sunny Hostin and Sarah Haynes, trying to mediate with awkward smiles. Statham leaned forward, his voice dropping to a menacing whisper that carried through the microphones, recounting his real-life experiences in martial arts and diving, implying that Joy's criticisms came from a place of ignorance about physical prowess. The tension escalated when Joy brought up his personal life, questioning his relationships and suggesting that his on-screen persona bled into reality, making him seem unapproachable or even arrogant. Statham shot back, calling her out for being judgmental and out of touch, turning the interview into a verbal sparring match that had the producers sweating behind the scenes. As commercials approached, the argument showed no signs of cooling, with Joy waving her hands emphatically and Statham crossing his arms defiantly, the audience divided between gasps and applause. This was no ordinary chat, it was a showdown brewing, with egos clashing like fists in one of Statham's fight scenes, setting the stage for what would become a legendary moment in daytime TV history. The energy in the room crackled, everyone sensing that things were about to go wrong in the most entertaining way possible, as Joy pressed on about Hollywood's treatment of aging actors, hinting that Statham's reliance on action might not age well, while he countered that her brand of commentary was equally dated in a world craving excitement over endless talk. The back and forth continued, each point landing like a punch, building the narrative of an interview spiraling out of control. Returning from the break, the atmosphere on the View set was electric, with Jason Statham and Joy Behar still locked in their ideological battle, the other hosts exchanging wide-eyed glances as they tried to steer the conversation back to lighter topics like Statham's upcoming projects or his fitness regime. But Joy wasn't done. She delved deeper, challenging him on environmental issues, pointing out the carbon footprint of high-octane car chases in his movies, which Statham dismissed as hypocritical coming from someone who flew private jets to award shows. The audience murmured in agreement with both sides, creating a cacophony that amplified the drama. Sunny attempted to interject with a legal perspective on film violence influencing society, but Joy overrode her, accusing Statham of glamorizing gun culture in a time of mass shootings, her voice rising with passion. Statham, unflinching, shared anecdotes from his time working with directors like Guy Ritchie, explaining how films reflected reality rather than caused it, but Joy interrupted, calling his defense a cop-out for not using his platform for change. The exchange grew personal when Joy referenced Statham's bald head and tough image, joking that he looked like he could bench press the entire panel, but implying it was all facade. Statham laughed it off at first, but then turned the tables, complimenting her festiness while suggesting she could star in her own action flick as the villainous talk show host. The laughter from the crowd was mixed with boos, escalating the feud as Whoopi called for calm, but the damage was done. The interview had devolved into a roast session. Statham stood up abruptly, demonstrating a quick martial arts move to illustrate a point about self-defense, which startled Joy and sent papers flying off the table. She yelped in surprise, accusing him of intimidation, while he insisted it was just a harmless demo. The producers signaled frantically from offstage, but the live broadcast captured every moment, turning what was meant to be a promotional spot into a viral sensation in the making. As the segment dragged on, Joy pivoted to politics, grilling Statham on his views about Brexit since he was British, and he responded with candid opinions that clashed with her liberal stance, leading to a debate on immigration and trade that had nothing to do with his movies. The other co-hosts jumped in sporadically, but it was clear this was Joy versus Jason, a battle of words where neither was backing down. Audience members began chanting names, some for Statham's action hero bravado, others for Joy's unfiltered honesty, creating chaos that mirrored the Gone Wrong title perfectly. By now, social media was likely exploding with clips, but on set, the intensity peaked when Joy questioned his acting range, saying he was typecast as the gruff anti-hero, and Statham retorted that at least he wasn't stuck repeating the same opinions on TV every day. Midway through the escalating chaos on The View, Jason Statham's frustration became palpable as Joy Behar doubled down on her critiques, now targeting his collaborations with controversial figures in Hollywood, suggesting they enabled problematic behaviors. Statham, with his steely gaze, countered by highlighting her own show's history of heated debates that sometimes crossed lines, turning the mirror back on her. The audience gasped as the verbal jabs flew faster, with Sarah trying to lighten the mood by asking about Statham's beekeeping hobby, but Joy steered it right back to confrontation, mocking the idea of a tough guy tending to bees as a PR stunt. Statham's response was swift. He invited her to try it, implying she couldn't handle the sting, which elicited roars from the crowd. Whoopi intervened more forcefully, suggesting they agree to disagree, but the spark had ignited a fire. Joy accused him of mansplaining, and he called her out for interrupting constantly. The interview veered into absurdity when Statham recounted a stunt gone wrong on set, paralleling it to this very moment, saying interviews like this were more dangerous than jumping off buildings. Joy laughed derisively, but the tension was thick, leading to a moment where she stood up, pointing a finger at him dramatically, declaring that his films promoted aggression over dialogue. Ironically, their argument was proving the opposite, as words became weapons in this unplanned showdown. Behind the scenes, producers debated cutting to commercial early, but the ratings were skyrocketing, so they let it roll. Statham, ever the professional, tried to pivot to promoting his charity work with underprivileged youth, teaching them martial arts for discipline, but Joy twisted it, questioning if it was just indoctrinating kids into violence. This struck a nerve. Statham's voice boomed as he defended the program, sharing emotional stories of lives changed, which momentarily silenced Joy, but she recovered quickly, pivoting to celebrity culture's excesses. The back and forth resembled a scripted drama, with highs and lows that kept viewers hooked. As the segment pushed boundaries, audience members began filming on their phones, capturing raw moments like Statham clenching his fists or Joy rolling her eyes exaggeratedly. The co-hosts exchanged whispers, wondering how to wrap this up without disaster, but it was too late. The interview had gone irreparably wrong, morphing into a spectacle of clashing worlds, Hollywood action versus daytime discourse. Statham eventually sat back, smirking, as if enjoying the fray, while Joy pressed on with questions about gender roles in his films, leading to a debate on feminism that had the panel divided. As the interview on The View hurtled toward its climax, the Gone Wrong vibe intensified, with Jason Statham and Joy Behar trading barbs that grew increasingly pointed, the audience now fully invested in the drama unfolding live. Joy, undeterred, brought up Statham's accent, teasing that his British charm masked a rough edge, to which he replied with a quip about her New York bluntness being a defense mechanism. Laughter erupted, but it was laced with unease as Sonny tried to analyze the cultural differences legally, only to be overshadowed by the main combatants. Statham demonstrated another quick move, this time a defensive block, causing Joy to flinch and accuse him of showboating, escalating the physical element in what was supposed to be a talk show. The producers finally whispered through earpieces to tone it down, but the damage was evident in the flushed faces and rapid breaths. Whoopi called for a timeout of sorts, suggesting they discuss something neutral like favorite movies, but Joy ignored it, diving into Statham's diet and fitness, sarcastically asking if he ate nails for breakfast to maintain his image. He fired back, offering to train her personally, implying she could use some action in her life, which drew cheers and jeers alike. The exchange highlighted their polar opposites, his stoic intensity versus her fiery verbosity, creating a perfect storm for viral content. As minutes ticked by, the conversation looped back to Hollywood accountability, with Joy pressing on diversity in casting, and Statham admitting improvements were needed but defending his roles as entertaining escapism. This rare moment of concession from him softened Joy slightly, but she couldn't resist one more dig about his sequels being formulaic. Statham laughed genuinely for the first time, acknowledging the industry's repetitiveness, which almost diffused the tension. Then, in a twist, an audience member shouted support for Statham, prompting Joy to engage with them directly, turning the set into an interactive battlefield. Chaos ensued as more voices joined, with Statham trying to calm things by cracking a joke about needing a stunt double for interviews. The co-hosts laughed nervously, but the energy was uncontrollable, leading to a brief mic malfunction that amplified the disorder. Producers rushed in during a non-broadcast moment, but on air, it appeared seamless in its messiness. The interview, now far from promotional, had become a case study in how egos collide, with both parties refusing to yield, embodying the title's essence perfectly. Nearing the end of the tumultuous segment on The View, Jason Statham and Joy Behar's confrontation showed signs of winding down, but not without a few more fireworks that cemented its gone wrong status. Joy, sensing a wrap-up, asked a final pointed question about his views on aging in Hollywood, hinting at his own career longevity, to which Statham responded thoughtfully, sharing vulnerabilities about typecasting and the pressure to stay fit. This humanized him momentarily, but Joy quipped that vulnerability wasn't his strong suit on screen, reigniting the spark. The audience, by now exhausted from the roller coaster, applauded sporadically as Whoopi attempted to conclude positively, thanking Statham for his candor. However, Joy interjected with a parting shot, suggesting he try comedy next time, perhaps guesting on a show without debates. Statham smirked, countering that he'd love to see her in an action role, dodging bullets instead of questions. Laughter filled the studio, providing a bittersweet release as the credits loomed. Behind the smiles, the tension lingered, with handshakes that were firm but brief. Post-segment, the buzz was immediate. Clips circulated online, memes exploded, and headlines screamed about the epic clash. Statham left the set with his entourage, likely shaking his head at the unexpected turn, while Joy debriefed with the panel, perhaps regretting nothing in her trademark style. The incident became fodder for late-night shows, with hosts parodying the exchange, amplifying its reach. Analysts debated if it was staged, but insiders confirmed the authenticity of the sparks. For Statham, it was just another day promoting, albeit with more drama than a movie plot. For Joy, it reinforced her reputation as the unfiltered voice. The View's ratings soared that week, proving that sometimes, gone wrong means gone viral in the best way. Reflections poured in from fans, some siding with Statham's cool demeanor, others with Joy's bold challenges, dividing social media into camps. Ultimately, the interview highlighted the unpredictable nature of live TV, where personalities clash and create unforgettable moments. In the aftermath of the Jason Statham vs. Joy Behar debacle on The View, the studio quieted as the lights dimmed, but the echoes of their heated exchange lingered in the air like smoke from a battlefield. Recaps flooded networks, dissecting every quip and comeback, turning a simple interview into a cultural phenomenon that sparked discussions on celebrity interactions and media dynamics. Statham, in subsequent appearances, downplayed the incident with his characteristic nonchalance, calling it spirited debate, while Joy embraced it on her socials, tweeting about standing her ground against Hollywood machismo. The viral clips amassed millions of views, with edits set to dramatic music enhancing the versus narrative. Fans created fan art depicting the two in boxing rings or debate podiums, fueling the fun. The View issued a lighthearted statement, appreciating the passion both brought, and invited Statham back for a rematch, which he playfully accepted in interviews. This event underscored the fine line between promotion and pandemonium, reminding viewers that daytime TV could deliver thrills rivaling action films. As time passed, the story evolved into legend, referenced in pop culture skits and podcasts, immortalizing the Gone Wrong interview as a testament to unscripted authenticity. Both emerged unscathed, their careers boosted by the exposure. Statham's film saw a ticket surge, and Joy's book sales spiked. In the end, what started as a standard guest spot transformed into an epic tale of clashing titans, proving that sometimes, the best scripts are written in the moment.